Okay, so using ratios and fractions to find percents. So if I asked you what is 1/2 as a percent, so if I had half of the population, or if I had half of a group, and I wanted to know what percentage of the group, then you would just take the 1/2 and then you are going to write it as a percentage. So first thing you always need to do, so step one, and I probably didn't leave myself enough room, but step one, find the decimal. So step one, I'm going to find the decimal. So you are always going to take the top divided by the bottom. And that is, which I'm going to put an N and a D. So numerator divided by denominator. I'm running out of room. So let me zoom in just a little bit so you can see that. That's denominator. So if you look at this one, I'm going to take the 1 and divide by 2. Let me zoom back out and then make it focus. Okay, so let me do that again. So you're going to take top or numerator divided by denominator, and you get 0.5. So 0.5. Okay, then step 2, you're going to multiply by 100, because it's always out of 100%. So 0.5, so I'm going to multiply by 100, and I get 50. So it would be 50%. Something that you will see a lot of teachers do, and I personally like it this way, but what ends up happening is if you're making it 100%, you have to remember to multiply by 100, and then later on, or in other things, you will have to divide. But for now, we're just going to be multiplying in this topic, or this part of the topic. So you can also move the decimal, so it's between the 0 and the 5, so I'm going to move it once, twice, to make it 50%. And I write my percentages really weird, sorry. So the way I think about it is there are 2 zeros, so you have to move it 2 places. This 0 was a placeholder, so it's actually 0.5. I moved the decimal once, twice, so that would be 50%. But it's just as easy to just multiply by 100. So 50%. So if I have half of a population, or if I'm talking about half of my money, it would be 50%. Okay, let's do the next one. What is 4/23 as a percent? So if I take 4, so I'm going to do it in the steps. So find the decimal by taking the top divided by the bottom. So I'm going to do 4 divided by 23. I get 0.1739134. On the assignment, all I have you doing is the nearest percent, so you just need 2 decimals, so that 3 would make the 7 stay the same. So it would just be 0.17. And then step 2, I'm going to multiply that by 100, so times 100. Notice it's 17.3% or 4% or whatever, but since that's a 3, it's going to make it just stay 17. So 17%. So if we're talking about 4 out of a class of 23, that would be 17% of the class. Okay, the next one. Sometimes they're going to be worded a little bit differently. So write 3 out of 4 as a ratio, then a percent. So these ones it was 4 out of 23. It's the how many out of the total. So if it's going to be 3 out of 4, you would write it. So this one we actually have a step before that. So we're going to write the fraction. So 3 out of 4. So something that you should probably write down, and I'm going to highlight this in just a second, is the top is how many and the bottom is the total. So it was 3 out of a total of 4. And then we'll do those steps from up there. So 3 out of 4. So I'm going to do 3 divided by 4. And I get 0.75. Change that to a percent. You can again either move the decimal once, twice, and write it as a percent, or just multiply by 100, so that would be 75%. If I have 3/4 of a dollar, I have 75 cents. So if I have 3 out of 4 quarters, I would have 75 cents, or 75% of a dollar. Okay, and then the last one. Write the ratio of 5 to 24 as a percent. Notice this one says 5 to 24 instead of 3 out of 4. It's the same thing. This is how many. It's 5 out of a total of 24. So write that, or put that in a calculator. So 5 divided by 24 equals 0.208333. I'm going to just go ahead and hit times 100 here, so that it would be 20.8333. I want the nearest whole percentage, so I'm going to look at the 20, or I'm only wanting those two, no decimals. So I'm going to look at the first decimal. It's an 8, so then 8 makes 20 round to a 21%. And again, sorry, that's just the way I've always written my percentages. I had a teacher one time that wanted us to make sure that they weren't zeros, so we always had to like connect it. I don't know why. I just got in the habit of doing that, I guess. So that would be 21%. Okay, so hopefully that's not too bad. You just take the fraction, write it as a decimal, and then multiply by 100, and you get your percentage. Okay, so that is using ratios and fractions to find percentages.